If you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like the world is coming at you, if you feel like you're spinning a million plates and juggling a million things right now, and you're starting to get concerned because you're dropping balls and you can't figure out what you should focus on first, this video is for you. I woke up today totally overwhelmed. I got really emotional on a team call because I feel like I'm dropping a million balls right now. This morning, there were a bunch of emails that people had sent me. Hey, did you forget about this? Hey, could you get back to me on this? I got a couple text messages from very close friends of mine that I had promised blurbs to for their books. Let's talk to Chris and see. Chris, can I ask you a question? He's probably annoyed. I was just talking about how transformative that was that you did with me. See this list that he's got right there? And what would you recommend if other people were doing it? I just said you got to show up with a blank piece of paper. You ask the other person to go. Well, why don't you tell us the steps? Can you tell us the steps that you just did with me?
The only thing I didn't have other than a pad of paper and a pen was handcuffs. That would have been useful.
Why? Would you say that?
I think other than a pad of paper and a pen, it took extreme discipline to just listen and wait and listen and wait, be patient and listen, and just keep trying to keep you on task from email to email, just so that you can get it out. I don't know. I don't relate to it like rocket science. The hardest part is actually just
sitting down with somebody and asking for help.
Yeah, and putting up with whatever they need to do or process or be anxious about, and bite your lip and just keep going. I'm glad you found it helpful.
Extremely helpful.
Such that you're now
making a video.
Relaxed.
I know it's not on the list of things I was supposed to do today, but
no.
I was just inspired because it was incredibly helpful to have some objective person help me get out of the spinning analysis paralysis that I was in around feeling overwhelmed by everything that I need to do.
Well, that's also half the battle with you and I, because I'm not sure you always perceive me to be the objective party, because I have...
This is getting into marriage counseling now, so I think we're going to end the video right now. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Just get a partner and get a blank pad of paper, and you listen for your friend or loved one, write everything down, ask lots of questions, bite your lip, be patient, have them get it out, help them stay focused, and then swap and do the same. There you have it. Let us know if that helps you stop feeling paralyzed and overwhelmed. One more. Yes. What's your name?
Delaney.
Hi, Delaney.
Hi. I wanted to start off by saying I listened to your segment with Alex, to those feeling lost in your 20s.
Oh, yeah, she's talking about call her daddy.
You can't call me out like that at work.
Yes, you can. Girl, that is the #1 female-hosted podcast in the world.
Yeah. But I wanted to say, you said earlier in terms of the 5-second rule, the easiest part is knowing what you need to do. I feel like I've been a little overwhelmed lately. What would you say, or the biggest piece of advice when you don't know what you need to do before you save 5 seconds?
Are you talking about work, or are you talking about life in general, or?
I think all of the above, right?
Okay, great question. How many can relate to this? Excellent. Okay, so when it comes to work, a really great habit to get into, especially as y'all are making this big turn, is try to have a quick alignment meeting with the person you report to every Monday. And just go over what's on your plate and recheck in about what are the strategic objectives for this week, so that you're aligned with what the person who you're reporting to. Because I'll give everybody the super simple secret other than visibility for being a rock star at work. Make your boss's life easier. Literally, you make the person that you report to's life easier because you're getting stuff done and you're solving problems. And here's the most important thing, you're communicating about what's getting done. You literally are a superstar because your boss is just as overwhelmed as you are. And so if you just touch base, even if you can't get a meeting and you send the 17 things on your plate and you say, I'm a little overwhelmed, I just want to make sure that I know what the priority is this week. Because it is changing all the time because they're responding as much as you are. That's number one. Number two, at the end of the week on Fridays, send a short email saying this got done, this got done, this got done, this got done, this got done. And here are the things I'm going to need your help with on Monday. You keep somebody in the loop like that, they will help you create rails that keep you very focused and feeling more sure about what you're working on, okay? So that's number one, ask for help. Do not try to figure that out on your own. Number two, when it comes to feeling lost in life and overwhelmed in life, always go back to your morning routine. Always go back to your morning routine. And there are two rules that I have for my morning routine. Everybody hates them. Nobody follows them. It changes your life. Number one, do not sleep with your phone. Do not sleep with your phone. And the reason why I say do not sleep with your phone is because we're all addicted to it. If you were addicted to cocaine or alcohol, you wouldn't put it on your bedside table. But, you know, you literally go to bed, and then before you're even out of bed, you literally doing this. And you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And like, if you're laying in bed reading work emails or looking at Facebook, you literally just let your boss, sorry, Tia, and all of your friends on Facebook walk in your bedroom. And more importantly, you let the world hijack your mind. So before you're even vertical, you are stressed out, overwhelmed. That one change, which you're not going to want to do, will solve the problem of overwhelm. And here's what I do. I plug my phone into the bathroom every night because it solves two problems. Number one, when that alarm goes off, now I'm really screwed because it's not next to me. So I have to get out of bed. Number two, the phone's not there. So as I wake up and I walk to the bathroom, I'm so mad at myself. But by the time I get to the bathroom, I'm now awake enough that I can turn the alarm off and flip the phone over. I don't pick it up. I don't do it. Even if I post things in the morning, I do that after I take 30 minutes for myself. What do I do in those 30 minutes? Well, I do all the stuff that you know that makes you feel better. I literally journal for a second. I move my body. This is a life changer. If you literally just work out for 10 minutes in the morning, it can be enough. I eat something healthy. I have a cup of coffee. I set my intention for the day. I think about the one thing I want to make progress on. And only then do I then pick up that phone. Then I let the world in. And by getting myself right with myself and setting myself up and giving myself 30 lousy freaking minutes to start the day, to clear my head, to think about what I want out of the day, to take care of myself just a little bit, now I'm in a better place. Now I'm able to do it. And then there's one more exercise. It's kind of a spin on the person you want to be. So my daughter's 23 and had a really rough time with COVID. The last 2 years of her college imploded because of COVID. And she left college basically depressed, really unhealthy, drinking way too much, and she had a meltdown. And so she said, I sat down with her and my husband, and we just were talking with her, and I said, here's what I want you to do. If you ever feel overwhelmed or lost, I want you to draw a line down the center of a paper, and I want you to think back, when was a moment in my life where I felt happy, and I felt like I was happy about where my life was headed? And so my daughter said, senior year in high school. And I said, great, what were you doing then? What was life like then? She's like, well, I was getting up early, I was going to school, I saw my friends every day, I was playing lacrosse, so I exercised 6 days a week, I was only drinking 2 nights a week, I had something to look forward to. I'm like, great, now let's write down what your life looks like right now. Oh, I'm sleeping till noon, my friends have all left and started their lives, I drink every day, I'm not exercising. I'm like, great, compare the lists. You are wired for happiness. You're wired for clarity. You are wired for success. It's why you miss it when you don't have it. You can only miss something you know. The answers are in there. And so like we've said with a lot of the things, even though it's overwhelming, there are ways, simple ways that you can solve this. Go to your boss, start getting aligned, get direction, and then do what they tell you to do. That'll give you the structure right there. Ask for help always. Second thing is, go inside and take a look at what your habits looked like and your days looked like when you felt a little bit more in control, when you felt like yourself, and then compare with what you're doing now. Come back to your morning routine, and you will set yourself up to have a day that feels like you're in control, and that'll change everything. That was a great question. Hi, you did it!
Yes.
You did it!
Thank you. Thank you.
welcome.
My friend group, we're big fans.
Awesome.
Especially we're transitioning just out of college right now. So, yeah, your podcast with Alex was great timing for me. And
What did you get out of that conversation that I had with Alex?
I got especially the relationship one. I don't know how you said it, but kind of I need to fix who I am first, because like a relationship's kind of like a mirror of what you're feeling in a way.
Even worse, a relationship amplifies what you're feeling.
Yeah.
So if you go after that person and you're feeling insecure, and so you're chasing that person that's the hot guy, and if he only or she or even if the person ends up being with you, you're actually going to feel insecure because you didn't enter the relationship feeling good about yourself. So you're 1,000% right. Work on yourself first, because then you bring that to every relationship, and then the relationship is just additive to you versus amplifying the crap that you're trying to run from. And I only know that after really screwing things up in my 20s and 30s. Like, literally disaster. I would attach myself to people in order to prove that I was okay. And it just made me feel worse about myself because I needed them to feel okay. So when the relationship broke up, I crumbled. I want to share a surprisingly simple thing that you can do in order to deal with overwhelm. And the reason why I say that this is surprising is because whenever you feel overwhelmed, isn't it true that the last thing that you want to do is take on anything else? You're sort of like, I can't do one more thing. I barely have time to go to the bathroom. I'm so overwhelmed. And that's why what I'm about to recommend is incredibly surprising, because this is going to seem like it's super counterintuitive as a solution based on research and based on, for sure, my personal experience, as a solution to moments in time where you feel overwhelmed by life or by the world or by what you're facing. Now, what is that surprisingly simple solution as a way to deal with overwhelm? Well, the surprisingly simple solution is to take on a simple little challenge that you're going to take on every day. You're going to take on something that aligns with growth and change. It pushes you forward, and it gives you something to look forward to every day. Because part of the reason why overwhelm is so debilitating is because when you're overwhelmed, your focus is scattered across absolutely everything. And you're thinking about your family and your health and the news and the this and the that and the presentation and the emails you didn't do and da. And at the end of the day, each and every one of those things is not really that important. There's probably, can we agree, 1, 2, or 3 things a day that really matter, that really need your attention? And the reason why we get so freaking overwhelmed with life is we allow our attention to get scattered and to get pulled in a bazillion different directions. And the solution to feeling more in control and to literally dealing with overwhelm, which is just an overwhelming amount of things that really, most of which are not that all important to you, but they're just distracting you, which then pulls your attention away from what really matters. You see, I'd rather have you do 2 or 3 things a day that really matter to you and let the rest just kind of fall where they fall, right? And so the surprisingly simple way to deal with overwhelm is to pick one thing that you're going to focus on every day for you. Like, no matter what, you're going to do this thing. You're going to add a little structure. You're going to add something that you're committing to as a way to laser your focus on something that's in your control. It's absolutely awesome how this works. So I'm going to give you an example. When my husband first got diagnosed with depression, he became very overwhelmed. And what I noticed is that he decided to take this online fitness challenge. That's a little bit more than I'm telling you that you should do. But he did this fitness mental toughness challenge called 75 Hard. And even though it was a pain and even though it was hard, having this challenge to focus on as something he had chosen that he was going to commit to every day gave his life a simple structure that had a lot of things that were distracting him fall to the wayside. Same thing happened with our daughter. She became very overwhelmed after she graduated from college. She did not know what she wanted to do. She was in a really unhealthy place, and committing to a simple set of new healthy habits that really were things she could control and committing to doing it for 3 months, it gave her this real discipline around focusing on what mattered to her. And the overwhelm started to disappear because when you create a simple structure for yourself and you say, you know what I'm going to do this week, no matter what this week, I'm just going to get up when the alarm rings and I am going to move my body for 30 minutes. And that is the simple structure I am going to put in place for me. And the reason why simple structures like this are so important is because in a sea of this, which is what overwhelm is, like all this stuff, you're like, nope, there is one thing that I am going to do for myself today. And that is the thing that I am going to focus on. And when you give yourself a simple structure, because you decided you're going to work on one thing, it puts on like blinders. Have you ever seen horses that get those blinders kind of on that? Like it is focusing your attention on something that matters to you. And that one surprisingly simple thing, give yourself a simple structure of one thing you're going to do every single day that gives you something to look forward to, that gives you a way to anchor in a sea of chaos and distraction. And you know that if you could just move your body for 30 minutes a day, or if you just got up and you journaled every morning, or if you just meditated for 10 minutes a day, and you were going to commit to doing that, a simple structure. And interesting, I see Pam saying, Mel, those little things, you know what it does? It keeps a horse from spooking because there's nothing coming at them this way. And isn't it true that life feels like it's coming at you like this? So a simple structure that you put in place, that's something you're excited about, you're empowered by, that you just want to do just because, a challenge, it raises your gaze. It raises your gaze from this crap and all this stuff, and it laser focuses you on one thing that you can control that you're going to do for you. And I'll tell you, it never fails. The second that I feel overwhelmed, I guarantee you, my simple structures, getting up when the alarm rings, high-fiving the mirror, moving my body for 30 minutes, journaling, picking one thing to make progress on, drinking my water, like all the reaching out to front, that stuff goes by the wayside. The simple structure, which you don't want to put in place because you're so overwhelmed and you can't handle one more thing, it's actually exactly what you need. And it's also a reason, I'm so glad you guys are getting something out of this quick pep talk, because I was thinking a lot about this today. I was driving into Boston. We're looking at office space. We've got a ton of stuff going on, project with Audible. We're going down to New York this week. I'm so overwhelmed. I started to cry in the back seat of the car heading in. And I just said to the person sitting, I don't think I can do all that. I just can't do all this. And then I thought, oh my God, I know what's missing. The simple structures that I put in place for me. The simple structures that always make me feel a little bit more in control. They've literally gone by the wayside because I have allowed myself to get so overwhelmed. And the way that you slice through the overwhelm and you take control again is, I want you to say one thing in the comments. One simple thing that you could add into your day. Is it 30 minutes of exercise? Is it a walk outside? Is it meditating? Is it getting up when the alarm rings? Is it cutting out alcohol for the week? Is it spending 10 minutes working on a project you've been avoiding? What is one thing that you could add back in as a simple structure. For me, it always comes back to this when I'm overwhelmed. I got to go back to the basics.
I am a 55-year young mother of 2, grandmother of 6. And thanks. And just started a new business last year at 55. I'll be 56 this year. My question to you was, well, first, a couple of things. You were sent to me, just like Tanya had mentioned. I am a God-fearing spiritual woman, and you were definitely sent in my feed from God. Because, there's times that people think I'm crazy and I say he talks to me, but they can think whatever they want. But you were sent because I had asked for, I felt like I was doing the business. It was becoming overwhelming. It was so much to learn. I am a interior designer. Loved it. Have been doing things over in my family, friends, clients' house since I was a little girl. I say about 8. So have always had the love for this. Styling and design is part of my DNA. I am a hairstylist by trade,
I love
clothing
it.
designer by trade. I've done it all. But this was the one that stuck with me. I love doing this. But back to the original, I just felt like I was overwhelmed. I felt like I was stuck. I took a little time off from my classes. I'm certified stager and redesigner, and eased it into design now. But it's only been just made it a year with my business. My thing was about 3.5 years ago, I just drove up here to take my grandson to his appointment. He's getting ready to turn 16. So about 3.5 years ago, a big change was in my life. Once again, God set this thing up. I thought I was all ready. I'd saved up my funds. I thought I was getting ready to head to Paris. And Paris was rerouted. Paris was rerouted. I'm originally from Philly. I'm a Philly girl. And it was rerouted to the suburbs of Philly. And I didn't quite understand. So I left it in God's hands and he kind of showed me. So it was a point for me to bring my family together. Not just my grandchildren, because 4 of them live with me now. Mm-hmm. So I raised my 2 and now I'm raising 4 grands. So a little different. The trip to Paris didn't happen yet, but it's coming. It's coming because plus I'm going to Japan with Elena. So, but I made a lot of changes, had to make a lot of changes, a lot of adjustments. And I still sometimes each day wake up not knowing how I do this, but I know it's definitely God embedded in me. My biggest thing was sometimes when I said I prayed for you and you came in my feed. And the reason I signed on to B school is because it was just the next dynamic that I had to learn. I needed to say, okay, I might not be a licensed designer, but I got this thing. Okay. And I've been doing this a long time and skills outranks any of them. I don't care what you say, but,
yes.
So I was there with all of that, but then I'm like, okay, I need more marketing. I need, and this one company reached out to me and literally they were like, okay, we can get you up and rolling interior design and it'll be 12,000. Do you have it tomorrow?
No.
Yeah, right.
No.
Okay.
No.
Right. Well, you know how that
How
went.
old's your oldest grandchild?
6. Well, he'll be 16 in May.
Excellent. So is he the gentleman that was sitting next to you?
Yes. No, he listens to you. I have him listening to you.
What's his name?
Jaden. He just went in the building though.
So Jaden is your head of marketing.
Yes. I just made him that this week. You want to hear something?
Yeah. Tell me.
I said to him, I need an assistant. And this is a business that I'm building as a legacy. I need an assistant. You're 15, get ready to turn 16. And there's a reason why you're not getting these jobs because you need to be right here. So I'm going to give you some work and we'll allot, an amount for you to get paid. And I need your assistant. And he was like, well, yeah, I'm my mom. So I'm mom to the second power. So I said to him, listen, well, I'll work out a price for you. He was like, no, you don't have to pay me. Oh, no. You must be paid. You must be paid. So we just literally had that conversation yesterday.
Okay. So here's why I'm saying this. The reason why I'm saying this is because what you need is not somebody else that can market you. you need somebody capturing the stuff you're doing. So you need photos of the things you're staging. You need before and afters. You need, the company Studio McGee?
Oh, very well.
Well, you know that her husband was in digital marketing.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
So she had a small little business.
Right.
And he started helping her market. And so I want you follow her already. I also want you to follow a woman by the name of Amber Lewis. Amber Lewis. And the reason why I am just telling you these two, and they're really big names, so I'm going to drum up a couple other folks that are kind of more in the 100,000 followers.
Okay.
But there's a couple different things, like your Instagram account is your business because you are showing people photos of your work.
Right.
You're showing people before and after staging companies. Whenever you are hired by a real estate agent to come in and stage something, or an event planner to stage an event, you are to tag those people because then they're going to repost it.
Right.
And then people see your work. The other thing that I want you to talk to your grandson about is that, just like we were talking with Scarlett's business about Shopify.
Yeah.
Shopify enables you to sell products that you don't have in a store. So for example, do you ever use, do you know Visual Comfort, that lighting company?
No, I'm not familiar.
Well, there's like a lighting company called Visual Comfort. It's a big, but most of the major brands these days will drop ship, meaning this.
Oh yeah.
Let's say that you have a favorite couch that you use all the time. And every time you photograph it, right, you can put it into Shopify so that your Instagram photo, you can tap it and click directly to buy it.
And I just learned about Shopify with Maria.
And they're not going to, in some cases, you can pass them directly. Like, for example, I am an affiliate on Marie's course. It's the first time I've ever done it. I'm not launching a business course. I think she does a phenomenal job with her content.
Yes.
And I believe in it. I get asked all the time about it. So I thought, I'll help you out, Marie. And yeah, I'll take the affiliate link. And for any business, you guys, you can literally on Instagram, in the photo, I could probably find a florist that if I took a photo of this, posted it on Instagram, put it into Shopify, you could tap and click and order it. And I would earn commission from that. That is what Shopify does.
I do have some of that with my classes and with my schooling in that, the trades and so I'm definitely going to be on Shopify. That's
yes,
the bet.
That you need to do a Shopify integration with your Instagram account, number one. And I can send you, will you send them to Top Figure, Amy? My guys that are in Minnesota. I love these two guys that founded Top Figure. They specialize in Amazon stores and Shopify, and they're just freaking awesome guys.
Awesome.
Tell them I sent you. Okay. I love these two. And so they will help you, and they will even they will probably talk your grandson through it. They also offer super inexpensive courses, but they will, trust me, I'm sure they've got free content to help you set it up. But there is
thank you.
But I want you to think about, how do I show everybody the work I'm doing? Even if it's like you sitting in the front seat, here she is working on her stuff. Like, that's what you want out in the world. And then here's the other thing I want everybody to hear me loud and clear. Only 5% of the people that follow you see your content on social media. 5%. Keep reposting the things that do well.
Yes, yes.
So when you get really good installations or before and afters, repost them every month. Because 95% of your audience didn't see it. And if you like other people's work, repost their stuff and call out, say, hey, here's here, one of my favorite designers, so-and-so, give her the credit. You can even put that into Shopify and sell the lamp in her design.
Awesome. 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 And here's the thing. It's great. I originally wrote in last night about how do you keep your motivation going? Like you as a person, me being a, mother of two, they're gone. But now I have the 4 grands. But in all honesty, from me being on this call, maybe 30 minutes ahead of time, but from me being on this call this long, oh my gosh, the motivation is already set up. It's already there. It was just the extra click. And like I said, with B School, it was the marketing piece. It was really because my website is up. That's been it's beautiful. It's things that I need to update on it. I need to make it more personalized so that they can know who I am, because I sell me every day.
Yep.
And basically you answered the question from everybody answered it for me.
Think about your Instagram as your HGTV channel.
Gotcha. Now that I can do.
There's no doubt in my mind you can do that. Like, it's about because when you're in business, everybody, think about your channel as your outbound. This is your TV show. This is your billboard. This is your whatever genre you're in. This is your event. In terms of if you're a coach and you want to be a motivational speaker, every time you post something, you are advertising what you do and who you are in the world. Think about it from an outbound standpoint. And the second that you get into your mind that stuff that you're posting is not for friends and family.
Exactly.
If they like that stuff, great. But if they don't, no big deal. Because you are putting it out so that people who are looking for that can find you. Do you have any other question? What are you dealing with? What are you dealing with?
Just trying to be there for my husband, for my kids, and other people.
And you're not there for you, though. So is it more overwhelming the way that you think, or overwhelming because you have so much going on and you just physically can't get to all of it?
Physically can't get to all of it.
Okay. One thing that I want you to do, and this is going to sound really stupid, but do you sleep with your phone?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I just have it right by me.
I want you to stop doing that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And here's why. Your phone is distracting you from the things that are important. And what's on your phone, the number of emails, the texts people are sending you, the news that's really scary. If you have that sucker next to your bed, do you wake up in the morning and then lie in bed and look at it?
It's usually my first thing. It's like, thank you, Lord, I'm awake. And then the phone.
And then the phone. And when you lay there and you look at what's on the phone, how does it make you feel emotionally?
Tired before I get out of the bed.
Yes. And does it start to make you feel overwhelmed about everything you need to do?
Yes.
Okay. What I want you to do instead is I want you to put the phone like in your closet or in your kitchen or in your bathroom, plug it in, leave the ringer on, because if your kids need to reach you, they can call you. I'm not going to text you. Tell work, if you need to reach me at 2 o'clock in the morning, don't send me an email, don't send me a text, call me, okay? And then I want you to go to bed. I want you to wake up. You're going to thank the Lord that you woke up. You're going to think about one thing that you're really grateful for to settle yourself, okay? And then you're going to get up.
Okay.
You're going to get up, and then I want you to go out in your kitchen before the madness happens with the kids in school, and it's back to school, and it's overwhelming, isn't it? And I want you to take 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes to just sit and think about what you need for you today.
Okay.
Just one thing.
Okay.
Just one thing. Are you going to call your mother today? Are you going to read a book for 20 minutes today? Are you going to go for a walk at lunch today? What's one thing you're going to do for you?
Okay.
And then let the rest of the day unfold.
Okay.
You can then look at your phone and get overwhelmed, but I want you to at least start a tiny little self-care practice in the morning.
Okay.
If you like to pray, when you get out of bed, don't pray in bed. You can thank God for the fact that you got up, but get out of bed.
Okay.
Go into the kitchen, do your morning prayers, think about one thing for you.
Okay.
Then let the rest of the world in.
Okay.
Okay? I want you to just crack open a little bit for you, and then it'll start to expand. You can make it 10 minutes, you can make it 15 minutes. But if you win the battle in the morning so that you can get out of bed without feeling tired and overwhelmed, we can start to spread that feeling through the rest of your day.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I feel better.
Okay? It sounds dumb. So now you got big stuff going on, and you got a lot of demands on your time, and you're worried about a lot of people. But I need you to start to build the skill and the habit of waking up in control and of starting your day that way.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My to-do list is never ending. How many of you feel like that? My to-do list is never ending. There just aren't enough hours in the day. I feel like I'm never actually getting anything done because as soon as I check off one thing, 3 things need to be added. Oh my gosh, I find that too. I find myself working later and later, and then I wake up feeling exhausted and burnt out. I just have to do it all over again the next day. Help me. Okay, so this is going to sound like a crazy piece of advice, but if your to-do list feels overwhelming, if you feel like you have no time for yourself, the first thing that we must research about your routine is this. Are you ready? I want you right now in the comments to tell me, what time are you going to stop working today? You heard me right. Put in the comments, what time are you going to stop working today? For me, let's see. I was going to say 5:30 because that's when I'm leaving the office, but I'm carpooling back to my house with my husband, my daughter, and my executive producer, Minnie Borman from the TV show, who's in town today. So I think I'm going to stop working today at 6:45 when we actually pull in the house. That's when I can commit to not answering emails, to not looking at work-related texts, to stop talking about work, and to actually move into the other part of my life that I need, which is the part that's called family and time for myself and decompressing. Setting a quitting time isn't something that I invented. It's something I stole from a professor at Caltech. And the setting a quitting time habit is so important. It leverages something called Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law is a phenomenon around time that basically says this: anything that you have to get done, you will get done in the amount of time that you give to it. So let me just ask you this. If you think about your to-do list, if you have 10 hours today to work on it, how long is it going to take you to get through it? 10 hours. If you have 10 minutes to get through the to-do list that you have, how long is it going to take you? 10 minutes. Because the things you need to do expand or contract according to how much time you have to give to it. And so what I want you to do right now, because part of your problem with your routine is you don't have one. You allow work to bleed into your evening. You allow work to just constantly show up whenever the email arrives. And you're the one that has to hit reset on your routine so that you don't allow your work to do that. So right now, I want you to set a quitting time. Put it in the comments. What are some of the times that we have coming in?
Margie's quitting at 7:30 so she can make the yoga at 8.
7:30 so she can make yoga at 8.
Amy says 5 p.m.
5
for
p.m.
the day office, 8 p.m. for side business.
8 p.m. for side business. Excellent.
4 p.m. for Rhonda so she can do the worksheets.
4 p.m. for Rhonda so she can do the worksheets.
Let's see. Diane says 4:30.
Diane says 4:30. Excellent. So have you ever had a situation where you got something you got to do at the end of the day? You got a doctor's appointment. You've got a soccer game you want to go watch. You've got a plane you got to catch. You ever notice you're way more productive on those days? That's Parkinson's law. You can create that as part of your routine every day.
I'm struggling with the fact that I feel like I should be getting a lot done. I'm blessed with all this time now, and I'm not getting shit done. I'm not.
Why do you think you should be getting stuff done?
Well, because part of my, when I was really busy all the time, which has been, most of the last 30 years where I've been working with the same company and, building up to an executive position, I always wanted more time. And I was actually have been working on starting my own side business. And time was a constraint. So I'd be like doing training on my commute, on the back, listening to things, fitting in it wherever I can. And all of a sudden I have all this time and I'm using the time to stress and procrastinate. And of course I have kids. I have my I've adopted my 2 little granddaughters. They're one turned 5 today, and the other one's 6. And so I'm, they're off of school, and so
Well,
and that's
first of all, let me stop you there. Happy birthday to your granddaughter. And you said that you had a full-time job. Are you working right now?
no. I was furloughed on March 20th.
Okay.
And part of the stress is it's the way that I was furloughed. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty, and I know there is anyway, but it wasn't sort of after the fact. It makes me feel like they don't want me back. And things have been, my job was great. I was like the superstar person there for 28 years. And about 2 years ago, they suddenly changed my position and moved me into something I didn't want to do, but it was lateral, but I kind of had no choice.
Yeah.
And it was around the same time that I was starting the process of adopting my grandkids. And I don't know for sure that that's what it is, but I know that that's when I had the schedule where I had more limited hours to work, down to like 45 or 48 instead of, 55 to 60.
So they furloughed you, and it feels more like a firing.
Right, because I had to turn in my keys. They shut off my email the next day. Then they called and asked for my laptop, and I said, I'm not using it, but sure, you can have it, but what's the rush? They're like, oh, we're just calling them all in. So then they had somebody come pick it up. This was 5 days after I was furloughed or so, and they cleared out the rest of my office. I took 2 boxes with me when I left because they asked us to clear everything out. And I've been there for, forever. So I had a big office full of stuff. Well, then I had 5 more boxes of stuff. They cleared every desk drawer, everything off the walls. It doesn't
Not
feel
easy.
No. And I have, it's 30 years of my life.
So you're in the same camp as anybody that lost something and didn't expect to lose it, whether it was the college graduation or the internship this summer or a 30-year job.
Yeah.
And so you've got, on one hand, the disruption, how discombobulating and surprising it is, how confusing it is. And we could sit here all day and make up stories about, well, they're just following protocol because gosh knows how long this is going to last. And they're probably just being fiscally responsible. And it'd be a lot harder to get that laptop back 6 months from now if they have to close the whole thing down than to just do it all with everybody right now. Yep. Or it could be, hey, let's use this as a chance to get rid of people that we were wanting to get rid of anyway. I don't have a clue. You don't have a clue. It is a total waste of time to sit and try to figure out what do we think is happening. And so what I want you to do instead is to focus on what you want to have happen now.
Okay.
Because let's assume you're not going back.
Right.
You are now the primary caregiver to a 6 and a 5-year-old. Mm-hmm. You have a side business, and you cannot seem to be able to focus. And the reason why you can't focus is a combination of all of the disruption that happened in your life and the stress it creates, and add to it the pandemic and all the stress that creates. Add to that any of the financial issues that you may be thinking about and all the stress that creates. And when you feel stressed in your body, Heidi, I want you to understand that what happens is it rises the level of cortisol in your body. And when cortisol hits this part of your brain, it impacts your ability to focus. So there's a direct connection between an increase in stress and anxiety and worry and a decrease in your ability to direct your focus. Okay. And so the other thing that makes this really difficult, and I can see you getting emotional, what's coming up for you?
It's just a huge part of my identity has been my career.
Yeah. And you know what else has been a huge part of your life? Because this is something that I am experiencing, is I was what you call an over functioner. Mm-hmm. Very busy, constantly on the move.
Yes.
And right. And you are probably a bit of an extrovert too.
Yeah.
And so the nature of what we're going through has also highlighted the fact that you stayed busy as a way to not have to deal with the things that stress you out. And when somebody like you or me gets forced to slow down, all this stuff comes up that we don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And the more that you resist all of these feelings, the longer you're going to stay spinning, and the longer that you're going to not be able to focus. And what you need, given that the way that your life used to be just got ripped from you, is you need to come up with a plan for what you're going to do next.
Right.
So are you going to look for a job? Are you going to do something else and invest in this side hustle? What are you going to do?
Okay, well, on my plan, it turns out if I don't get called back to work by June, I thought it would be smart of me to make a move to the mainland. Because the way things were going last year with my job, and I've always been this star performer and everything, just a star performer, part of the team, really close with everybody at work. And last year, for the first time, I had a poor review. I felt like things that were said were not even.
Okay, so can I just slow you down?
Yeah.
Because what I just heard you say is that even going back a year, you got your first poor review, and you can feel that things are going like this.
Yeah.
And that is a piece of data that's very important. And you said you were going to wait until June to see if they bring you back. And if they don't bring you back, then you're going to make a move to the mainland.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to unpack for you.
Okay.
I am working on a book on decision making. And I want to road test an idea with you.
Okay.
Because when I hear you say that things were going downhill, but you're going to wait until they decide, what I hear is somebody giving all the power to somebody else.
Okay.
And I believe that there are only two kinds of decisions that we make. We make what I call a noisy decision, or we make a quiet decision. And I want to teach you right now how to make a quiet decision.
Okay.
A noisy decision is the type of decisions that most of us make all the time. They are driven by the noise of what's going on around us, driven by the noise of fear, driven by the noise of anxiety, driven by the noise of pleasing other people, driven by the noise of being a good girl, driven by the noise of your self-doubt, driven by the noise of all the things that you do and have always done in the way that you've always done them. And then there's the quiet decision. And a quiet decision is one where you take a deep breath and you tune out all the fear and all the shit that everybody else is saying, and you go in here and you ask yourself, what do I want? And so let's do that right now.
Right.
If you remove fear from the equation and you remove all of the noise and the doubt and overwhelm and everything you're feeling, don't worry about the how, don't worry about the when of whatever. I want you to just go right in here and get very quiet. Quiet enough so that you can hear your own voice for a second. What do you want?
This is what I was thinking about late last year when I started doing Best Decade Ever. I started, thinking about that, and so I wanted to come up with an e-commerce business, and I've been studying towards that because I want to have time freedom, especially at my age. I'm 55, and I have two little kids that I need to support, and all the way through that. I love that they keep me. I don't know what I can do without that right now. But so I want to have flexibility and time freedom. And I did think about this last one. I actually bought a property in my hometown that I grew up in. I took out a loan for the down payment out of my retirement account. And
So can I ask you a question? Because here's what I hear. I hear you saying you want to pursue this side business and that you want to move.
Yes, it's hard to leave quiet, but I think it's the best thing. Whenever
Okay, so listen. So when you tune out the noise and the fear, what do you want? Say it to me specifically without explaining why.
Yeah, I want to move, and yeah, I want to move and start a new life, start over again.
Terrific. Okay, there you go. There's your decision.
Yeah.
So fuck what this company does.
Yeah.
You want to move.
Yeah.
And that is a quiet decision. It's a decision that chooses you. It's a decision that comes from courage. It's a decision that is purposeful. And so now what we do is move into the execution part of that decision. We have decided you're moving.
Okay.
So when are you moving?
I think August, September latest.
I want you to pick a date.
Okay. I'll just say August 31st.
Terrific. August 31st, you're moving.
Okay.
You've just made a quiet decision. Now it's your job to figure out how to get it done and what steps to take when.
Okay.
What does it feel like right now to know that you've made a decision?
In a way, it feels calm. In another way, like, I start going, okay, I have to do this, that's coming up for me, but it's also like, calm. I've been leaning towards this decision, but I have people saying, well, you're not going to give up your job.
That's the noise.
Yeah.
So other people are making a decision not to do it for you. That's why you got to tune out the noise and tune into what you're quietly telling yourself.
Yeah.
And so you have just made a decision. You're going to move. And all I invite you to do for the next 5 days, you don't have to do anything. You've already, I'm sure, applied for unemployment. I want you to just sit with this decision. I want you to start to get excited about the decision. And starting this weekend, you can start making a plan to make the decision happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I always say you're one decision away from a different life. And that's because when you're swirling in uncertainty and self-doubt and confusion, one decision will cut through all of that noise that's keeping you stuck, and it will give you clarity, purpose, and confidence. And that's what you just did today. Good job, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mel.
You're welcome.
You have this behavior pattern where you snap. You have this behavior pattern where you yell and you get upset and you make people wrong and you don't mean to. If you are somebody who's ever said to yourself, I wish I could stop yelling, or I wish I could just snap, I could stop snapping. This video is absolutely unbelievable, okay? And the reason why is I explained this research that was so mind-blowing for me. It's called Ghosts in the Nursery. A lot of the patterns that you have that you don't have control over are patterns from your childhood, and they are there because when you were a kid, you experienced people in your life that were tense. Did you ever have a parent that was a yeller? Did you ever have a teacher that was a yeller, or a coach that was a yeller? And secretly in your little kid body, whenever your mom or dad would yell, or your coach would yell, or your teacher would yell, or your grandmother or grandfather would yell, you would feel tense, right? You would feel nervous. You would feel on edge. Of course, that's how we all feel, right? Well, here's the reason why you might have an issue, like I used to have an issue, where I would yell at my kids and then I'd feel terrible about it. I'd snap at my husband and then I'd feel terrible about it. Psychologists, and then I would say to myself, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again, but I wouldn't have the ability to end it. Psychologists call this ghosts in the nursery. It means that any situation where you start to feel tense or you start to feel stressed out, guess what happens? Your body remembers what it was like when you were little to feel tense and stressed out. And what were the adults doing around you when you felt that way? They were snapping. They were yelling. And now here you are repeating the pattern. And you don't know why. And you feel guilty. And I'm explaining this to you because it wasn't until I thought, holy cow, like I know I don't want to snap at my husband. I know I don't want to take my anger from work out on my family. Why can't I stop this? That's the reason why. It's because it's a pattern that you remember from being a kid, that the adults around you were snapping or yelling or being mean anytime, and when they were, you felt tense and stressed out. So now that you're an adult, when you're tense and stressed out, you repeat the behavior that you witnessed. Crazy, right? So how do you stop it? Well, the first step to stopping anything is to actually understand what you're dealing with. Now that you know you're dealing with a pattern, now all you need to do is basically say, okay, I'm going to put a practice in place that's going to interrupt this pattern. What's the practice? Well, a really good one is before you walk in the house at the end of the day, if you're stressed out, take 5. Take 5 deep breaths. Like reset your mood, reset your energy before you walk in the house, and you'll be surprised by how much nicer you are to the people around you. Another thing that you can do, and this one's not so fun, is you can train your partner, your kids, your roommates, your family, that if you're trying to get a hold of how you bring stress home, you can train them to say to you, hey, don't take your work stress out on me. When somebody that you care about says that to you, it's a humbling experience. And the person that says it the most in my life is my son, Oakley. The youngsters seem to love to cross-check the adults. So be careful with taking that advice. I haven't lost anybody that I love. So I would not say what I'm about to say if somebody that I loved had died in this pandemic. But I have found the great pause that the last 2 months have forced me to take to be the greatest gift that I have received in the last decade. My kids have been home. I have been off the road. I have been forced to slow down. I have been reminded of what actually matters: your health, your family, your friends, what you're doing to take care of your mind and your body and your spirit, and making sure that you do something with the time that you have that you really, really enjoy. And the other thing that it's really made me stop and think about is making sure that I'm having fun, that my whole life isn't just work. And it's made me really start to think about the fact that I don't want to go back to the life that I was living before the pandemic hit. How many of you feel that way? That this has been a gigantic mental perspective switch reset button that has, boom, hit you really hard. I want to know in the comments, what is it that you, with this new perspective that the pandemic has given you, what is it that you want to change in your life coming out of this? I want to start seeing. I see people saying this has been a wake-up call. I see people saying, yes, this has been a huge shift in my perspective. I see Brianna saying, I want to travel less for work. What do you want? Kelly says she's had a mental switch. Kelly, what has this pandemic given you in terms of the gift? Heather's saying, I want to ask myself, what do I really want to do? Kim says, I don't want to go back to the rat race. Brock says, I want to start the year excited about it. I see somebody saying, Larissa says a new business. Megan says, I want more boundaries. Tara says, I want to have more fun. What is it that you want to change, given the gift that this pandemic has given you in terms of shifting your perspective? Dinky says, value my friends and family. Jilla says, take care of my mental health. Spend more time with family. What do you want to change, everybody? Seriously, what do you want to change about your life? Is it a relationship? Is it that you have had the time to take care of yourself in small ways and that's giving you greater control in your life? Do you want to change your job coming out of this? Do you want to launch a business coming out of this? Do you want to change your timeline for achieving your goals? Is there some project that you want to take on? Because what you're going to hear me say over and over again is that the single most important project you could ever work on is yourself. And the greatest gift that any challenge will ever give you is a perspective shift and the realization that you can face hard things, that you can survive hard things, and that in learning more deeply about yourself and about what you value through the challenges in life, you are going to be handed a moment where you can make a decision. You hear me say all the time, you're one decision away from a different life. Changing your life does not take motivation. Motivation is garbage. Changing your life takes discipline. The discipline to make a decision to change. You see, you need three things if you want to come out of this pandemic and truly change your life for the better. So many of you do not want to go back to the life that you were living. You see something greater for you. And what you're going to need in order to make that shift is you need clarity. You need the clarity to write the change down. And I want you to start right now. What in the comments? Let's get really clear. Terry wants to come out of this a healthier and better person. What is the clarity? Tell me the change that you want to make coming out of this. You got to have the clarity to write it down. That's number one. The second thing that you got to have in order to make a change happen is you've got to learn the skill of confidence, which is the ability to try something when you don't feel ready. You may not know how to do this change. I see advocate for myself. I see more physical movement. I see I want to change my job. I want to start a business. I want to earn more money. I want to travel less. I want my work to have meaning. I want to get out of an abusive relationship. I want to help people in need. I want to make sure that I continue to keep the promises that I've been keeping, getting up on time, working out every day, working on my relationship. This is fantastic because you're having a moment of clarity. And when you start to write it down, you are starting to develop the confidence and the knowing that you deserve to have this change happen. And then finally, what do you need in order to really change your life? Because it's not motivation, everybody, it's discipline. Discipline to make small promises, keep small promises, discipline to take small actions when you feel afraid, the discipline to find the courage to push yourself forward when you don't know how. That's how you change your life. Just those three things: clarity, confidence, courage. That's all you need. And that's why you got me in your life, because I'm here to push you. I'm here to encourage you. And I love seeing what you want to change. That, oh, I see you need help building confidence. No problem. I got you covered. Because confidence isn't something that you feel. Confidence is a skill. Confidence is the willingness to try. Because it's through the act of trying, through the act of simply writing down what's the change that you want to make right there in the comments. Just writing it down and trying it out, trying out writing what that feels like, that's going to show you that you have the ability to start to express the things that you want. And that's the first step. to claim these things that you think about. So for those of you, more than 100 of you, who have written to me in the last week and who have said, I've had a huge perspective shift thanks to this pandemic. And there are some major changes I want to make in my life. I want to start a women's group. I want to end this relationship that I'm in. I want to stop bashing myself all the time. I want to launch that business I've been talking about. All of the things that you've put on hold. Now is the time to change. So many of you asked me, is it the right time to change your job after a pandemic like this? Absolutely. Because if you don't hear the clarity that's inside you, if you don't quiet the noise and tune in to hear, if your instincts, if your wisdom, if your knowing, if inside of you, you hear yourself saying, I got to get a new job. I got to get out of this relationship. I don't want to live where I live anymore. I want to be near the water. I want to be in the mountains. I want to be out of the city. You have to tune into that stuff. And then it's about confidence and courage to take action. That's it.
Okay. I want to just dive straight in because this was not an easy book for you to write. Am I correct? And I also love that you revealed, and I want to get into this a little bit later, but can you just tell everyone, for those who might think it's Mel friggin' Robbins and she can just pop things out and create things, and here's her next big best-selling book. Can you reveal to people why this one was a challenge and what that road was like for you?
Sure. This is the first book that I've put out in print in almost 5 years. And one of the reasons why it's a challenge is because I have dyslexia. I have ADHD. It's hard for me to get something on paper. I mean, I can talk and blather on like an idiot, forever, particularly if I have a few drinks in me. So audio stuff is super easy, but actually getting something on paper, my mind doesn't work that way. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I really struggled just like everybody does. And I know that so many of you that follow your work, Marie, and that love you or that are alumni of your incredible courses, I should say. We all struggle with this notion that we don't know what the thing is, and then so I didn't know what to write about. And because the 5-second rule had such a profound impact on millions of people's lives, absolutely anything that I kind of put on paper just seemed kind of stupid.
Yes.
And so I became my own biggest critic. And in the last probably 4.5 years, my family will tell you, I drove them absolutely fucking crazy because I was constantly working on a book and I would crank out something, and my process of writing is to dictate. So I just record, because you don't have to make yourself do things the hard way. If you struggle with something, figure out a cheat. For me, it was just dictating, putting little voice memo notes in my phone. It would be sitting in front of my computer and just dictate. And then we'd send them off for transcription. And then what I would find is that the things that I was saying did not actually translate down to writing. I skip words. I sort of put the front of the sentence at the end of the sentence when I talk. And so we would edit and edit and edit, and nothing seemed good. And I started to feel discouraged. And this was what was going on for 4 years. And I want to go ahead.
Let me interrupt you because I really want to unpack this because there's not many people in the world that I can do this with. And I feel like you and I are soul sisters in this way.
We so are.
So my question for you was the idea for the high five habit there, or were you kind of test driving different?
Oh my God, no. The idea for the high five habit was nowhere on the radar screen.
Yes.
I was writing things like, motivation is garbage. That's what we should do because of that clip that went viral with Tom Bilyeu. And that just kind of didn't light me up.
Yes.
And that's how you know if you have an idea that's for you. An idea that's for you is sort of like a little spark in a forest almost. It's like that little first pop that you feel energy, a great idea that's your idea or that's the right idea for you. It might not end up being the thing.
Yep.
It expands you. There's a little bit of something. And honestly, as I was working for the last 4 years, I felt dead. I felt defeated. I just knew even if I pushed an idea forward, Marie, it wasn't it.
Yes.
And so So
I want to play with that for a minute because did you have the feeling, two things. One, that your best work had already come out, that the 5-second rule was like the thing.
For sure.
Okay, good. I just want to say that because I've had that so many times. So I just want to normalize that so people don't think you or I or other people like us or people that they admire are these like kind of special unicorns. And two, did you have a voice in your head that said, if I was really a writer or coach or whatever professional leading person in this field of personal development, that I would be able to crank out like a book a year? And by the way, it's not like you've been sitting twiddling your thumbs, right? You've got best-selling audiobooks, but I just want to know from the inside out, because I've had this, that because the idea wasn't like right there and you just couldn't do it, that it kind of starts this backpedaling of like, I must just suck. I'm like a one-hit wonder.
1,000%. And then on top of it, I completely tortured myself by watching people that I love, like you or Jay Shetty or, Gabby or anybody that is kind of in even our friend group where I'm like, I love you and I hate you. I love you and I hate you. Why are they able to crank out those many videos? Why are they able to put those courses? There must be something wrong with me.
Yeah.
I'm just a one-hit pony here. I got lucky on the 5-second rule. By the skin of my teeth, that thing got done. It's helping people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm done here. There will never be another idea. I'm not as smart as those people. I'm not as organized as those people. I got lucky. Like that is 1,000% what I said. And, the other thing too is that I also felt like I was on the outside. And so I will tell everybody, this is so important because I think when you start launching your own thing, you're lit up because you're finally going to start your yoga studio. You're finally going to start that catering business, or you're finally going to start that flower growing business, or you're finally going to do the thing. And then all of a sudden you do the thing. And instead of being excited and thrilled and validating yourself, you then look up and go, oh, wait a minute. There are all these other people that do something similar and they're all friends or they're all bigger than me. And then you start to tell your story that you're the little one on the outside looking in.
Yes.
That you're not part, you know what I mean? And then you use that to invalidate yourself.
Completely.
And so I found a gajillion ways to tell myself, I call it pile driving. I would just pile drive myself. And, it was paralyzing, and it makes the process of creating anything so sucky, so laborious, so stress filled. It creates more procrastination. And so I have been in the soup of self-judgment for 4.5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I remember I've talked about this a couple times, but I don't think we can say it enough. Like my process for creating everything is figure outable. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I am absolutely unable to figure out how to write a book called Everything is Figure Outable, and tortured the hell out of myself while I was writing it. And like, should I give back the money? I'm not really meant to do that. I mean, like, and this has happened so many times in my career. So I love talking about this stuff because sometimes these are the stories that you don't get to hear. And people just make all of these assumptions, and it's just not the truth.
Well, and when that book came out, let me just tell you what happened. Your book came out, and I saw this incredible title. I saw this on-brand book. I saw you putting more amazing, life-changing work out. The book is fucking fantastic.
Thank you.
I read every, word, and you don't even read every word and let it seep in because you're like, this is so good. Why didn't I do this? Of course she can put a book out because she's Marie. You know what I mean? So you literally, and it's so interesting because, one of the things you and I are going to talk about is that your relationship with yourself is the foundation for everything.
Yes.
So if you look in the mirror and you judge yourself or reject yourself or you are insecure about anything, you then take that self-rejection and self-judgment and that insecurity and you project it on everything that you see. And so instead of being able to walk in a world where your genius coexists with other people's genius, instead of being able to walk in a world where you're like, everything is unfolding for me. This is taking time because it's supposed to. Marie is a light on the path for me. And if I'm secure with myself, and if I can literally support and encourage myself, even when I'm struggling, what happens is you start to see the world differently. I see your book and I'm like, if she can do it, that means she's lighting the path and I can do it. And the only reason why, again, I couldn't do that is because I hadn't actually discovered or started to feel the impact of this high five habit thing, which was a total, I didn't set out to do this. I did not say, okay, I need another book with a 5 in it. And it's not going to be the 5 decisions. It's not going to be the 5 this. I need another book with a 5. And we got to figure out and it's going to be 5 parts and 5. Like, no, that's not what I set out to do.
Yes.
Life punched me in the fucking face.
Yes.
And I fell into a hole. Like we all fall into a hole. And this is kind of my brand, for better or for worse. This is what I'm going to need to embrace. My brand of transformation is dig a hole or fall in one and then figure out how to build a ladder. And then as you're doing this process of helping yourself pick yourself back up through a really hard time, I have had 2 instances in my life where I have stumbled upon something that is absurd on its face that turns out to have been handed to me by the universe as a gift. And it also turns out, when you unpack it, to have a mind-blowing amount of depth and science to it. And that's what the high five habit is. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.